Hello, my peaceful and profitable entrepreneurs. Happy Wednesday. Happy New Year. So exciting. It's 2023. Let me get some things adjusted. I thought I had the light not in the thing, but so glad to be here today. I curled my hair this morning for the live stream, but with the weather in Charleston and it's not humid, it's really muggy. Like the foghorns are going off. Like there's just a lot of fog today. So I looked like a clown. So I had to, but I tried to have pretty curly hair. But if you're on today, please say hello, drop a comment. I'd love to hear how you're doing, how your new year is going. This is, today we're talking about the one thing to do to double your revenue in 2023 or triple your revenue or whatever your goal is. So we will dive into that, but it's kind of a piggyback from last week. Last week, I kind of did an impromptu on Thursday, and it was short, sweet, to the point. So, go back and watch that one because I think we really need to do that process first before we do the one today, which is going to be a little bit longer. I have lots to say about this, but if you join live, be sure to comment and say hello. I know we have people jumping on, so anything, if you enter, or if you comment or leave an emoji or anything, it gets you entered to win my masterclass. It's very robust, 90 minutes, 4 ways to grow your business, and it's something I am always coming back to with clients. And it's just, if you're product or service based, it's just all encompassing, and it's something I've just put my heart and soul into, and I'm very proud of it. So you'll be entered to win today if you join live. So today we're going to talk about the one thing to do. Hi, Alicia. Thanks for watching. We're talking about the one thing to do to double or triple your revenue, and then I'm going to give you some action items to take away. Hi, Lauren. Thanks so much for joining. Some action items, and then I'm also doing some bonus stuff because I have a lot to say about planning. And hi, Alicia. Thanks for commenting. I don't know if you were here, but everyone who comments or asks a question gets entered to win my masterclass. So I will be posting that on Friday, the winner for that. So I want this to be for you. So please be sure to ask questions and, get all the support that you need here today because this is what I love to do. So before we jump into the one thing, I do want to piggyback off of last week. And I was talking about kind of word of the year and all that. And I was going to share my word of the year is overflow. So at first I was thinking abundance, and abundance is always something I've been, not always, but I've been trying to lean into recently because growing up, I didn't feel abundant. In the beginning of my business, I didn't feel abundant, especially with time or with money. And so abundance is something I've been working on. So overflow, my coach kind of called me out on it. She's like, you kind of have abundance, but overflow is kind of the next stretchy level of that. And so that's what I'm leaning into, and that's my word of the year. And last week I mentioned, one of the things I was going to do this year would be get some more support outside of business. So I've already signed up for a meal delivery thing where it's like local chefs and they kind of deliver some meals to you. So I'm on track with that stuff. So hooray. But I want to talk about that. And my theme of the year is do simple better. So what I'm coming back to with my one-to-one clients and my VIP clients is thinking about how do we do simple better, because I know at the beginning of the year, people are always like wanting to start this and do this and do this. And what I really invite you and encourage you to do is to really pick like 1 to 2 new things that you're going to do and make that be your max this year. Like we really don't want to add too many things. I really like to pick it and stick it and really get something to be a well-oiled machine first before we start adding on. So that's kind of my recommendation for that. And then on the 23rd of this month, we'll be doing my strategic planning party. So today I'm kind of giving you some things you can take away, but that will be like a 5-day free masterclass of really strategic planning. Like this is what I do with my high level one-to-one clients. I'm giving it to y'all. So we'll be doing the promos for that in a couple weeks. But I'd love to hear from y'all if you have like a word of the year or a theme or anything you want to share. Feel free to drop that in because I think that it's so interesting. So last week, we really talked about like looking back at 2022 and what went well and giving ourselves credit and then taking that and moving it forward. And I think that's so important to do first, is to look back and see what went right, what we want to bring into the new year. So this is the next step. And I was reading, there's a book called The Wealthy Spirit. I think her name is Shelley is the author. It's Chellie. But in it, she talks about the universe being like a restaurant. And so if you order a smoothie and then you change it to pancakes and you change it to oatmeal, like eventually the restaurant started to just give you the wrong order because you kept changing it. And so that's kind of the basis for this live stream and what we're talking about today. So it's really like deciding, and that's the thing. That's the one thing we're going to talk about today. So if you're sitting there and you're like, Jordan, like I roll, like thought you were going to tell me how to increase my email list, or how to hack the algorithm, or how to book 10 sales calls or something. Like, I know that deciding sounds not very sexy, but literally, like, I've worked with countless clients. I've been in business for 7 years. Like, deciding something and staying in it is simple, but it's not easy. So we're going to dive into that. And another thought that comes up for me is, I don't know, I used to watch, I'm blanking on the movie, Empire Records. It shows my age, but I loved the movie Empire Records. And there's a quote where he says, the time to hesitate is through, and it's by the doors and he's about to go like steal some money or something. But that's something this time of year with deciding is really that the time to hesitate is through. Like, cut the bullshit. Like, this is the year, because I know a lot of people and even clients I'm talking to are like, I feel like I'm on Groundhog Day with my goals and, what I want to get for my business. And really, the thing is like really to set the intention and decide to double your revenue in 2023. Like, that is the thing. We can talk all these strategies and all this stuff, and we're going to walk through this today. But really, it's like deciding, and like this being the moment that like, this is my focus, because deciding is something you literally just do once. So many business owners and people, like, they wake up every day and they're like, well, what should I work on today? Or what should I focus on today? And so really deciding is like the thing. So pick the thing and decide like what your 2023 goal is going to be. And maybe it's doubling your revenue. Maybe it's tripling your revenue. Maybe it's getting fully booked or replacing your corporate salary or whatever that is. But decide that that is the thing. And we are going balls to the wall on that. We're going all in on that. And every day I'm not redeciding something. I'm not trying to figure out what it is. It's just this thing for business. Like, if you're like, Jordan, I've done that. I've set my intentions. I lovingly invite you and ask, like, have you really gone all in? Have you really decided? And that's why, like, I'm not the easiest coach to work with, because I'm not like letting my clients chase the next like shiny object. Like, we are going all in together. And, once they decide, I'm holding their feet to the fire and I'm holding them to that. So, I really invite you to ask yourself, like, have you really decided that this is the year that you're going to do this? Because a decision is something you do once. So you aren't waking up every single day and figuring it out. Like, you decide, and then every day you are doing certain action items to do that thing. So people slow their growth so much because they keep changing their minds. It's called decision fatigue. Like, there's tons of science around this, but if you're constantly like at the beginning of each week or month or whatever, you're like, what's my goal this week? Like, what, or, there's this freebie out there, or there's this course out here, or maybe I should do that. Like, that slows you down so much. And it's all well-intentioned, and it's not saying that the course is crap or that the planner is crap or whatever, but it's just saying that like, it may not be right for you right now. So that's something I really work with my clients on, and really deciding today that the timeline doesn't matter. Like, yes, we want to achieve this goal by the end of the year, but what I really like to think of, and a word that I had on my desk for a long time was willingness, is like, I'm deciding that I'm staying in this as long as it takes. Like, this is my intention. This is what I'm deciding, and I'm going to stay, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to keep working the strategy, because it's going to pick up momentum and it's eventually going to pop, and I'm in it for the long run. Like, I've been in business for 7 years. Like, I'm not going anywhere. So that's really the thing, is to like decide that the timeline doesn't matter, whatever it is. And once you decide that the timeline doesn't matter, and once you let go of that timeline, that's when the magic happens. Like, and that's the whole thing with manifesting. And if you have been in the manifesting space or woo or anything, like, that's just such a big proponent of like letting go of the how and the when. And really not waiting and not using excuses, because that's another thing I see is like, well, when the economy does better, or when, I don't have, my kids at home all the time, or trying to think of other excuses, when I get my pilot's license, or when I get a divorce, or all these things that people are waiting for this thing to happen before they really go all in on themselves. And it's not saying that that's like wrong or bad, but it's just saying that literally slows you down. You know, and if you're here to like really double your revenue or replace your corporate salary or whatever that is, you can't wait until these other factors are in perfect alignment to, you know, get your results. So that's something, is, you know, not waiting for the perfect time or the perfect, you know, whatever, when Aries is in Mercury, or, you know, I don't know, when the planets align type of thing. And then also, you know, the other thing to think about is fear. Some of us we're scared. I'm scared, you know, I'm scared of success sometimes, because I'm like, oh, that would be more clients that I have to support and show up for and like hold space for, and then taxes, and then team, and like all these things. So like, stop pretending that you need to think it over because of that fear thing, and just know that like, yeah, there's these other things I'm gonna have to deal with, and like, I trust myself, I trust my business, I trust myself to like show up and own it, and now is the time to make it happen. So I just want to give a personal story. I sometimes like to give clients stuff, but I feel like sometimes I don't want to, like, you know, overstep any boundaries. So, you know, I found that when I do this, I see that everything rises up to support me, which I know that sounds weird, but sometimes when I really decide on something and I let the timeline go, like, I see things just fall into place that I could never have imagined. And I'm very left brain, very analytical type of person, and I do love the woo. You know, I feel like I'm getting signs from the universe all the time, and so I just wanted to share that, because so often we create conditions around what we want, and that's just when, like, you know, the economy needs to be a certain way, or, you know, my spouse needs to be making this amount of revenue, and then I can go all in on my business or something. But like, really, those things just are slowing you down. So stay in your decision. That's where the power is. So deciding and not letting fear or conditions get in the way. So the 2 action items that I wanted to have for that, looking at my notes, because I have lots of notes and I want to make sure I don't forget anything. You know, so one of the action items is, what are you deciding for your life and your business this year? If you want to share, feel free to share, but you know, I'll kind of go there. And obviously last week I talked about getting more support in my personal life, and, you know, getting more support with like food and cleaning and all that stuff. But, you know, for my business, I'm really just like, blow the fuck up. Like, that's kind of just, I'm going to lay it out there on the table. I've been building momentum, and I'm seeing the results, and I am still seeing the results, and we're almost fully booked, and we make, you know, consistent 5-figure months, and I'm a multi 6-figure business. But like, to me, that doesn't represent overflow. And so what I'm really leaning into this year, and what I'm deciding, is in like blowing up. Like, that is my putting it out there. That's deciding. That's what I'm deciding now. If y'all, I know there are a few people on here, if you feel called to share, we would love that. But really take a minute now, or write down the question, like, what are you deciding in your life and business this year? Pick it and stick it. And that's like the thing that I support my clients with so much, is that it is it's a simple thing to do, but it is not easy, because when we don't see the results happening right away, or we feel like it's slower than it should be, like, picking something and sticking to it is so hard. And like, I've been there in business, when you're doing something over and over and over for months and you're not seeing the results, like right now, it's so hard. And then, you know, I look back and it's like, oh, really? It was only like 2 or 3 months that it took to really stay in that and build some momentum. But when you're in those 2 or 3 months, it feels like forever, and it feels like you're missing something, and you feel like, maybe I should switch, or maybe I should, you know, take this course over here, or purchase this thing. But like, sitting in that discomfort is so freaking hard, and I get it. But coming back to this decision and deciding, and then like putting on blinders, earmuffs, whatever you need to do, that is where I see the magic happen. Alicia says, for me, is growth to be able to leave my job and work on my art business full time. Thank you for sharing. I love your honesty. And I just really appreciate you being here and sharing that, because I think it's so, we think that like we're the only ones in business that have like challenges or problems, and like that is just not true. Like, I have the benefit of working behind the scenes with so many different types of businesses and different business owners, and like, everyone has challenges and problems, but it's when we grow through them that we really like next level our business and we become that person that does, leave their job and works on their art business full time. So Alicia, I so applaud you right now, and I'm so glad you set that intention, because really it can be exhausting. Like when I started my business, I had a 5 months old, so it was the right decision for me to just like jump in feet first and do it. But I work with so many people that that's just not the case. And so giving yourself so much credit and so much grace for that process of, moving over and building momentum, especially if you're working at nights or on the weekends or whatever, trying to cram everything in. I hope you just give yourself tons of credit. And now that you've decided on that, like, I see that really happening because that is like setting the intention. So that's the first action item, is to decide. And then the second one is asking yourself, how has my fear affected my decision up until now? How can I release that fear? So again, I'll use like a personal example. So my fear, affected my decision because I was really like, I had like, kind of like a lot of time issues, like in terms of, I started my business when my kids were babies, and I've had, 3 kids since then, and they've been home a lot of the time. And then we had lockdown. And so I had like all these issues with time and not having enough time. And so booking more clients for me represented like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to, hold space for all these people? And I really like did a lot of work around that fear. I did tapping, so like the EFT, emotional freedom technique, like that helped a ton. And that's one of those things that kind of gives you instant results. Like you rate your anxiety or whatever you're doing before you do it, and then at the end you rate it. And like I could always just tell an immediate difference when I did that with my fear. Journaling obviously is like a great one. I would do kind of like a rage on the page and then kind of like do some body stuff. I think I have a whole masterclass about working through this stuff too. So I'm not going to go on a side tangent with that, but really thinking about how has fear affected my decision up until now, and how can I release that fear? So, I talked about doing the EFT and journaling. I have things on my phone and on my, desktop that's really like these affirmations that like, it's safe, it's safe. And I have learned that I really trust myself to figure things out along the way. So sometimes it might be like January is our busiest month of the year. We file 1099s for all of our clients. And so it's a lot, and it's like we're coming off a vacation, and last year we had, the last 2 years the kids had to stay home because of COVID during January, and it was all this stuff. And so really thinking about how has the fear affected your decision and how can you release that? So I think that this is really great work to do. So that one action item to double or triple your revenue is decide. And then the 2 action items that kind of play off of that are, what are you deciding for your life and business right now? And how has my fear affected my decision until now? And how can I release that fear? So let's see. I just want you to know that I'm totally supporting you here. If you want support, like, please be sure to drop it in the Facebook group. Like, that's what we're here for. If you're catching the replay, be sure to let us know or share what you feel comfortable sharing. But this is such a great process to do, and it can open up a lot of things for us. And so just please be sure, since I'm not working with everyone one-to-one, that you're getting support if anything does come up for you. So this process is also simplest in the actions we take in business. I bet a lot of people thought I was going to come on here and be like, here's how to grow your email list or how to hack the algorithm or whatever. But like, really the simple stuff is the thing. So, deciding is the thing. Like, I hope no one's totally overwhelmed, but sometimes literally in business, like, it's not the big, sexy, flashy things that really get us the results. It's these simple things that are hard to do and are really hard to stay in it. So I wanted to talk about all that. That was kind of my main thing for being here today. So if you have any questions about that or need any support, please let me know now or on the replay. But I also wanted to go into some other goal setting tips. So like I said, we'll do the big strategic planning party at the end of the month, and I'll drop the link below at the end just so people can go ahead and sign up, because it's 5 days, it's very robust. But the other things I want to talk about, like goal setting tips, are just things I've learned along the way, things that I've enjoyed. And I recently I listened to Sabrina Phillips' podcast, and she was talking about, 3 things this year for her were mindset, marketing, and mentorship. And I just thought that was a great way to sum up everything, because literally my framework is mindset, strategy, organize, implement. So I think mindset is huge. I think having a strategy is huge. I think being able to have it organized and having someone there to implement with you is just so, so valuable. But having this like mindset, marketing, and mentorship broken down that way, it was just a very interesting way to put it. So I just wanted to share that because I thought it was a great idea. I always want to give credit where credit is due. But mindset is such a key component. Like obviously, I really saw my business blew up when I picked a strategy and stuck to it. But then that opens a whole can of worms with mindset stuff. And so having a coach or a mentor or someone there with you to support you with that is hugely beneficial. And that's just what I love doing with my clients. I get my own support because I've just seen that be like the thing when we want to tap out, when we want to like do the thing that we always do, when we have someone hold a mirror to us and show us what we're doing and what, hey, you're doing that self-sabotage thing again. It's just so valuable. Alicia says, can you share tips on mindset strategy? Yes, and I'll try to remind me, I'll go back and try to find that masterclass or maybe another live stream where I go into that a lot. And I think this is different for everyone. So I would find, I don't know if you're doing daily mindset work, but that's really what I recommend. I can tell you what I do personally. I do journaling in the morning. I do journaling in the evening. I have angel cards and I pick a word of the day that kind of, goes through my day. I do breath work sometimes. There's an app called Pause, Pause. It is a paid app, and I never pay for apps, but this one, like, I use it every day. You can do like 3 minutes of breath work or 45 minutes of breath work. To me, that's just like so powerful, and it's just like a great way to like tap in and kind of like move things through. And you kind of usually, it's a guided meditation and you do breath work with it. And then also just like working with my coach on mindset stuff, because I have things that come out of my mouth and then it's like, oh snap, like there's a lot to unpack there. Like just simple things that, I wouldn't have thought twice about. And now I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm like kind of bringing up all this inner child stuff because I just didn't really want to sell to the lady with an only, like she was divorced and, only an only child, and my mom was divorced and all this stuff came up. And so having someone to support you with mindset can be really valuable. But in the morning, like I said, I like to do the breath work and journaling. And I think at night, kind of asking yourself, like, what do you want to release? What do you want to replace? There's probably things out there with like journaling prompts and stuff. I haven't loved journaling prompts personally. I kind of just like to riff and go on, my own. But I would say mindset work, like you can make it look however you want. I don't know if you have any like questions specifically. I know the dog is, sorry, she's here. But it's kind of just like finding what works for you. Like, do you like to do journaling? Do you like to do affirmations? Because there's so much stuff out there and there's no right way to do it. For me, mindset is a lot of just noticing my thoughts. Like it can be as simple as that. You don't have to write anything down. But just noticing through the day, like, oh, I need to like do a sales post today, but I'm kind of feeling like, are people going to judge me because I'm selling? Or what will my husband's friends think? Or, what will my in-laws think if they see me boasting about my revenue? Like just noticing your thoughts through the day is like, you can add all these, breath work and journaling and all that stuff, but it can be that simple. It's just like watching your thoughts. And that's when, having a coach or someone act as a mirror is like super valuable because, the saying, like, you can't read the label from inside the jar. Like we really just don't, we're so used to our own bullshit that like, we don't even notice it. Alicia says, very helpful. Thank you. Okay. You're like, all right, I got it on the mindset stuff, but I love mindset work. And honestly, it has been a true gift to tap into and lean into in my business. Like I said, I am very left brain in numbers, but the mindset piece and like digging into what comes up, because honestly, being a business owner is the best lesson in personal development, like the best lesson, because it brings up all your shit. Working with other humans, selling to other humans, dealing with things, building a team, like it brings up so much stuff, and like it's not for the faint of heart. So I think just looking at your thoughts every day and the stories we're telling ourselves is just so important. but I'll get off that soapbox and move on. So another little tip that I have with goals is writing it down. And it's so simple, but there's tons of science behind this that backs it up, but really writing it down, making it exciting, specific, and measurable. So I am all about metrics. I am all about numbers. And again, it's been proven. Like if you write down goals, you're more likely to attain them. And, making them exciting, making them specific, and making them measurable. So like saying you want to, be successful or grow your business or, not work as much, like whatever that looks like that's great, but it doesn't tell you if you got there or not. So, think about a specific revenue goal or certain number of clients or certain hours that you want to work or certain days or times that you don't work, and really get specific about those. We had like a play date with my kids' friends the other weekend, and like that was like one of the moms there, her New Year's goal was like work less. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? Does that mean you stop working at 5? Does that mean you don't work Saturday mornings? Like, get specific and measurable. So that way, like one of my clients I was talking to today is going to have like a weekly scorecard, and she's going to share that with me, and it'll be like a little spreadsheet. So, she has certain things that she wants to do every day, but at the end of the week, she wants to be able to look and be like, did this happen? Did I reach out and personally, talk to this many people about this? Did I sell this many times? Whatever that looks like for you. So getting really specific, writing it down. Again, feel free to share it in the group if you want to. And then set yourself up for success. Because I read this in a book, that motivation is basically a lie. It doesn't exist. Like if you look out in nature at animals and stuff, like it's just not a thing. So it's just not something we should rely on through the year. So thinking about what actions can you set up to make sure that every week you get closer to your goals. Sorry, the dog likes to dig in my recycling. So that way, like at the end of the week, when she does get to that scorecard, she has things that like, okay, I needed to sell twice a week. Like it's not like you're sitting around like, oh, I need to get motivated to sell. It's like on Wednesdays and Saturdays I sell. Like that's what I do. It's in my phone, it's in my Google Calendar. Like I get a text message, then I go and do it. And then if you aren't doing it, that's a great time to get support, to really dive into, is it around the enoughness, or, do I need to get on board with my offer, or what are people going to think? Like a lot of that stuff can get kicked up, and that's where the mindset stuff comes in, but really setting up the strategy and like the plan. So it's not like, am I going to sell this week? Am I going to go live this week? Am I going to show up on Instagram stories? Like, no, like there is a plan. My content strategy looks like this. This is what I do every week. This is when I sell. This is when I provide value. All those things. So really setting yourself up to just make it like a well-oiled machine, like do simple better. So it doesn't need to be a million things. It just needs to be certain things that you do on repeat, because that's how we blow up our businesses. That's how we build momentum, is when we keep doing the same thing over and over. And it's so annoying, and it's so like, oh, that's the secret, Jordan. That's the magic bullet. Just keep doing the same thing over and over. And I don't mean like blindly doing it and not testing and tweaking, but like pick it and stick it and just keep going. And that's part of that deciding piece that we talked about. And an easy thing that I always do with my clients, that I do with myself, is celebrate wins. So again, this is like scientifically proven, like your brain like loves that dopamine hit. When it celebrates a win, it wants to create more of that. So our brains are pretty simple like that. Like, it's just a great little hack. Like, and it's not to say that like, oh, well, I have to get the big win before I can celebrate. Like it can literally be like for me, sometimes celebrating a win is like on Saturday morning, I'm going to go out on the porch by myself and drink my coffee and watch the sun come up. Like it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to buy myself this fancy purse. Like, it doesn't have to be some big win, or like, my husband and I might go on a date to celebrate something. Like, it's not like anything huge. Like, we're not flying to Paris or something. Like, we're literally going to bike down to the restaurant down the street, but we're going to do a little cheers, and it'll be a fun celebration. So think about how can you build celebrations into, what you're doing. And I'm all about like giving ourselves credit and seeing like what we did right. And so doing these celebrations, it's just making our brain be like, yeah, actually it feels good to reach my goals, and I want to keep doing it, and I want to create more of it. So, just, doing that brain hack, doing that dopamine hit, and just telling yourself that it's safe to reach goals and to make more money and book more clients and sell more things. is just really important. It's something all my clients know. If they are celebrating, or if they, have any kind of win, I'm like, how are you celebrating? Like, what are you doing? Or what do you have lined up when you reach this goal? Because it's just that important. The next thing is, knocked over a picture frame. Scared me. So put a vision board. I've got one on my computer and on my phone. So we see these screens so much throughout the day that it's just great to have either an affirmation or a picture of what you want, or, whatever it is. Like, we can write down our goals in a journal, but if we don't look at them for like 3 to 6 months, then like they don't really matter. So like having some kind of visual thing, like I have a vision board on my wall. I have like a fake check written to myself by, with my monthly pay that I want to like stretch into. And I've like, silly affirmations on my phone that when other people see it, I'm like, it's my affirmations, like whatever, say no and woo. But like having that and seeing it is so powerful, and making sure that you are reviewing your goals and how you're doing. So we mentioned the weekly scorecard, but like, are you going to look at your goals monthly? Are you looking at them quarterly? Are you comparing yourself from, now to last year? Like, what is that cadence that you're going to set up to really like see if you're on track? Because I used to do this, like back at the beginning of my business, I would set these big goals at the beginning of the year. I mean, they weren't that big, but I literally wouldn't look at them again until the next year. And I was like, oh, well, go me, but like, I just wasn't, it was out of sight, out of mind. And now it's like measurable, and I look at them like every quarter. And I am very in my numbers. I do my money and metrics every Monday. So I have some more parameters set up, and you don't have to get that crazy with it, but just having something that you are like looking at along the way, as opposed to waiting till the end of the year and being like, oh shit, like I didn't do that, I totally forgot about that one. So I think that's just really powerful. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions. And the last thing I want to touch on is kind of the shadow side of goal setting. Like, I love goal setting. I love a new year. I love a new month. I love a new quarter. Like, feels so fresh and good. I love the beginning of a new day. Like, I am a sunrise person. Like, I feel so good in the morning. I feel like I can take on the world. So I love that newness. And so, I think that can be the problem with goal setting, is that we keep setting goals and then we don't, do the strategy. We don't organize, we don't implement to really see the results. Like, it's fun to buy the planner and it's fun to download the course. And then like a month later, we're like not doing it or whatever. And it's not like, that kind of goes back to that like motivation, isn't a thing. Like, we can't rely on that. And so really figuring out, okay, I've got the goals. Now I need to like actually go and do something about it. And so that's where I see a lot of people spend a lot of money on planners and courses and stuff, because they're kind of trying to solve the wrong problem. Like, they think, oh, if I just knew how to grow my email list, then I'd make more money. And it's like, well, yeah, but you really have to be comfortable selling to that email list. So like, if you're just going to get people in your world, but you're never going to like make an offer or promote your services or toot your own horn or show your client testimonials, like, it's not solving the right problem. You're not going to sell more. You're not going to increase your revenue if you're not like comfortable selling. And that really is the hard part, is dealing with our own bullshit and dealing with the stuff that our brain kicks up and the self-limiting beliefs. And that's when support is just so beneficial, that I've seen, because yeah, the, course seems great to like hack the algorithm, or the planner seems great that I'm going to write down my affirmations every day. But like, if I'm so uncomfortable and I don't feel worthy to go out and sell my stuff, like, none of that matters. And so that's kind of the shadow side of it, is how much time and money you can spend just planning, or, just like creating these big goals, but like you're too scared or don't feel worthy to go out and actually do them. So that's something that, can be helpful with mindset work, and can be helpful getting support with a coach, having someone to like hold you through that. So that was my other note. Sometimes we just stay stuck in the planning phase and we don't implement. And again, for all the reasons we just talked about. Or sometimes I've seen people like set such big goals, and that's great. I'm all about a stretch goal, and I don't want to like, freak out our central nervous system. Like, if I was like, I'm going to make $1 million this year, and I definitely have like stretch revenue goals per month, per year that I want to attain. But like, if I was like, I want to make $1 million, like my body would like shut down. Like I have a 1-to-1 model. Like, you know how many people have to support to get that? Like, or I have to, you know, have all these new offers and be like selling a course every week or whatever. Like that's just not, it doesn't feel good to me. It's just like, why even bother making that goal? And I think, you know, some people do that. They make such big goals to say that they're actually goal setting, but it's like, it's not really anything they plan to achieve or want to achieve. It just stresses them out, and it's basically kind of pointless. So I want to make sure, like, yes, we're doing stretch goals and we have big dreams and all that, and like we have a path to get there. We have measurable metrics to get there. We have a strategy. It's not just like, yeah, I want $1 million. Like, I'm just gonna have my crystals and, you know, say my affirmations and it's all just gonna work out. Like, I'm all about all that stuff, but there needs to be strategy. There needs to be organization. There needs to be implementation. So I'm really thinking about that when you're doing your goals. So any questions, any comments? You know, if you're getting to this point, you're like, Jordan, I have decided before. I have decided over and over in my business. I've set the same intention and I still haven't gotten there. It feels like Groundhog Day. Like, I totally get you. I want you to double your revenue this year. I want you to, you know, replace your corporate salary, whatever that is. And what I have seen to be true is that getting visible is the thing in business. So showing up and selling, owning your worth, you know, like tooting your own horn, all that stuff that is like, can be so uncomfortable, or it can just be so overwhelming. Like, we see people online and we're like, how do they show up every day with content? Like, I don't understand. I'm just barely trying to like do a post. I totally get it. And so your best next step, I offer a free consistent content for consistent 5-figure months, because that is just something across the board that I have seen people just get results from. So it's 30 minutes together. It's free. I'll drop the link to that below. We've got some spots in January open, I think. But these are just great calls. People walk away with literal action steps. Like, my goal is to give you a win. My goal is to like give you something that so you can like book clients, so you can sell something like just from this 30 minutes together, because that is why I'm here. This is peaceful and profitable entrepreneur. So profitable means selling more. It means, you know, getting visible. It means getting in front of your audience and other audiences. So if you want support from that, I'll drop the link below. It's just very valuable. I get great feedback from it, but I think that's it for today. So unless y'all have any questions or anything, I'm gonna go let the dog out because she's chomping at the bit. But I hope y'all have an amazing day. Thank y'all for joining live and catching the replay, and I'll be back next week. Happy New Year.